Hello and welcome back, guys. We're now starting a new story, Spiderman, Overload, by AtomX994. You can find author's profile link in the description. Let's begin Chapter 1, The Life of Izuku Yagi. The year is 2102, we find ourselves in a bustling city, with all the civilians going about their regular lives. With parents walking with their children to the grocery store, groups of friends enjoying their free time, and even elderly couples simply taking in the bright morning sunlight. However, the sounds of a loud shake begin to scare some people, as a giant villain, almost 10 stories tall, begins to terrorize the civilians below. Mwahaha. Puny some. No one can stand up to the likes of me and my gang. That hero Green Empress isn't even here, so there's no use calling out her name. The giant villain calls out before laughing once more. Footsteps on a nearby building rooftop draw the giant villain's attention, as a figure is seen, being blurred out by the brightness of the sun above. Oh! Is that so? The sunlight begins to clear up, as we see a dark, green-haired girl in a green costume, with a yellow cape wrapped around her neck. Her figure was well built and well proportioned, and her face showed off determination. If that's the case, then who am I then? What? Green Empress. But how is that possible? The news said you would be in America. Well, just because I'm in a different country, doesn't mean I can't get here in 5 minutes. What? 5 minutes. That's right. Oh, and just because I'm not around, doesn't mean you can do whatever you want. I have friends everywhere after all. Suddenly, several different costumed heroes surrounded the giant villain, and begun to distract it, that is, until the villain began to float in the air, losing all sense of gravity and getting taped up by some swinging figure, CRP. The boss has been captured. One of the gang members yells out. Dazed med he dash. However, the gang member's insult is quickly stopped, when a purple-haired young man suddenly drops from the sky, and wraps some capture tape around the villain, pulling him towards him before drop-kicking the villain to unconsciousness. What the hell dash, the other gang member yells, as the same purple-haired man roundhouse kicks him. These guys weren't so bad to take down. The young man comments. Oh come on Shinso. Do you really have to be so cold? If it means stopping these guys, then yes Zero. The man named Shinso tells them. Alright, I've taken care of the ground villains, what about you Uraraka? The giant villain is away from any structures. Do your thing Yagi. A brown-haired girl called Uraraka says into her earpiece. Yeah. You got this. A man named Zero says while swinging around. She begins to squat up and down in a fast pace, her legs slightly glowing before she jumps into the air at fast speeds. Fajin. She yells out. She darts towards the villain, ping her fist back, and allowing the power she possesses to gather into it. 50 perfect Detroit smash. She yells, as she plants her fist into the villain's stomach. The villain goes completely out cold upon receiving this attack, merely floating in the sky due to Uraraka's zero-gravity quirk. No matter how much destruction you villains cause, there will always be heroes that will stand against you. Because we are here. After using black WHP to grab the villain, and drag him down to the ground, holding him up temporarily as a balloon, Izumi stands triumphantly next to several heroes. Photographers flood into the scene, taking various pictures of the group of heroes, all while Izumi looks up to the sky, taking in the cool breeze. However, something tugs at her heart, almost as if she is missing something, or rather someone. Elsewhere, we hear the sound of a loud alarm go off, as a head of green hair lifts itself from the small mattress, revealing a skinny young man in his 20s turn off his alarm. Based on physique alone, the young man has never worked out a day in his life, having no large muscle on his body. After walking slowly to brush his teeth, and slightly fix his unkempt hair, he grabs his pair of glasses, and begins to get dressed in casual clothes. Okay, today's the day. The project presentation. You've spent countless days and nights working on this, which means all that work will be challenged here and now. After putting on what looks to be a small lab coat, the young man exits the small apartment, walking down the stairs and eating a small sandwich he had prepared the night prior. "Ah, Yagi, good morning," the landlord says to the young man. "Oh, hey sir. How are things?" "Yeah, things at home are going rather well. The kids are about to finish their 3rd year of junior high, thank God." "Oh, that's very exciting. They'll be off to high school soon." "Indeed. And what about you? Heading off to university as usual?" "Yeah. Got a big project presentation to go to, hopefully I'll get first place and get some massive opportunity out of it." "Well, I'm glad to hear. You better get to the bus stop then." "Okay sir." "Oh, and one more thing. Rent's going up double the original price." "Ha!" Izuku yelled in his mind. The young man walks down the stairs, and continues his descent outside, where he walks into a small bus, choosing to sit at the very back, in the right corner. "It's been 5 years since I last saw my whole family together," Izuku thought to himself. "I've only ever gone by to visit Mum. I wonder how she's doing." He begins to close his eyes, allowing himself to enjoy the ride as he began reminiscing on memories of his past with the family, or more specifically, with his mother. For most of his life, Inko had really been the only one he could look to for advice on any problems he had in life, whether it was how to solve basic math problems, how to interact with girls, and concerns that would occasionally pop up in his mind. His relationship with his father on the other hand was mostly nothing special. For most of his life, Toshinori had been completely absent. This was mostly because of his real job of being a pro-hero, fighting various criminals and saving many people's lives. Sure, it was a noble job, but a part of him wished that his father wasn't some big-shot pro-hero. It sounded cruel in his mind but, still all he ever wanted was his father's affection. But that didn't matter to him anymore. He simply just wanted to live. To one day have a family of his own, and be at peace with himself. As the bus made it to his stop, he quickly made his way inside the university with his bag in hand as he made his way to a large laboratory-like building, with many inventions on display on several platforms, before heading over to his own. "Okay, good. I made it on time. Just gotta hope this invention doesn't break like last time." After hours of preparation, many different men in classy business suits came in and observed the many inventions that the students had made, seeing which invention they should invest their time and money in as a way to gain even more influence in the support item world. Some of the inventions were rather well designed, each having their own strengths and weaknesses in various situations that heroes would find themselves in, but out of all of these inventions, the one that was considered the worst by far, was unfortunately Izuku's. His invention was rather clunky in design. A large exoskeleton that could amplify strength to heroes lift large objects and to increase their speed to get to places much quicker than without. However, 2 problems were noticeable to the businessmen when taking a look at the invention. The first was that it had many faulty problems that Izuku had not been able to fix before the showcase date, and the second was that it wasn't something necessary anymore. With heroes such as Uravity that could effortlessly take away the weight of a large object and many who could just destroy them and decrease their size, an exoskeleton such as this would be seen as obsolete. This made Izuku rather saddened, signaling in defeat and struggling to move his exoskeleton to the lab the university provided him. However, on the other side of the large laboratory, 2 men stood and watched. Both men were very similar in appearance, with one having unkempt brown hair, while the other had unkempt black hair. However, the 2 could not be different from each other in terms of facial appearance. The man with black hair was fairly young, being approximately 22 to 23 years old, while having the facial appearance of a man so annoyed by the world. The brown-haired man, on the other hand, looked rather laid back. Despite looking like he was in his early 50s, the man had the expression of a young 20-year-old, without a care in the world. And right now, his sights were set on Izuku. "Father, why exactly are you staring at that boy with the green hair?" his son asked him. "Why?" "Because he has something that these people do not," he responded. Well, it can't certainly be talent. His invention broke down several times, and he hasn't even gotten a single offer. That is true, Mikumo. But that is because he lacks experience. The rest of these people have been in the field for years, he has only been doing this for 2 years, and yet he went and created an exoskeleton of this caliber. Quite bold in my opinion. Or quite stupid. Besides, what other qualities could he have that would give our company influence? Mikumo asked him. Well, I can think of a number of things. For one, his background information. Background information. Izuku Yagi, 20 years old, and he just so happens to be related to 2 very important people. Izumi and Toshinori Yagi, otherwise known as Green Empress and All Might. This fact causes Mikumo's eyes to widen in shock, before immediately turning back to the green-haired man. He's the son of All Might. And the brother of Green Empress. That's right. Unlike those 2, he was never born with a quirk, but despite that, his family name alone could send any company that hired him to stardom. All we have to do is make him suitable for the role as an inventor. Mold him like a clay pot. You really think you could convince him to join our company? Trust me, son. He will. The 2 approach the young man, who continues trying to lift up the exoskeleton, but is unable to, due to his lack of strength. Here, let me help you. Mikumo told him. Thank you. Honestly, I probably should have made this thing lighter. The 2 carry the heavy exoskeleton to his personal lab that the university had lent him during his enrollment at the university, putting it in the corner somewhere. I'd like to thank you again for helping me with that. But I'd also like to apologize for taking up your time like that, sir. Don't be Izuku. Hisashi says, walking in. My boy here doesn't really have a busy schedule, so helping out those that need it could do him some good. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I didn't see you there. Also, how did you know my name? Well, for starters, your name is on your name tag attached to your lab coat. Oh. I didn't even notice, sorry. Izuku said with embarrassment. It's all right, young man. Reaching for his pocket, he hands the young man a business card, inscribed with the words, Midoriya Industries, on the top left corner, while the bottom right in a smaller font, had the name, Hisashi Midoriya, on the bottom right. Hisashi Midoriya. That's odd, the list we were given beforehand never had this company listed. Our company only formed a few weeks ago, plus we did register to this even late, so it's likely they just forgot to include us on their forms. Hisashi explains. I see. The reason we came here, much like everyone else, was to see what the next generation of support designers and makers could offer, and lo and behold, we struck gold. Struck gold. But I don't understand, my invention is considered obsolete, plus it didn't even work in the end. Well, young man, while I could go on and on about how a small company like us is willing to take anyone, I feel that would be disingenuous of us to say. Although your work is sloppy, that doesn't mean you don't have the potential. Potential. Yes, to become an excellent inventor, one must go through the painful tribulations of failure over and over again, and I wish to help you reach your full potential, and give you the proper training this university failed to give you. That is if you're interested, of course. If you are, give us a call. Oh, okay. Come on, Mikumo. Let's head back to the lab. Yes, father. The 2 men leave Izuku's lab, with the 20-year-old looking down at the card with intrigue. Well, I have been meaning to look for a new job, so who knows, maybe this could be good for me. But, just in case, I should probably ask the landlord if I could have a roommate. If rent's going up, I'll need all the help I can get. He thought to himself. Should I ask Kaminari if he's interested? No, he's living with his girlfriend. So there goes that option. Izuku lets out a depressed sigh, as the prospect of being homeless sets in, grabbing his bag before leaving the university for the day. On the top of a random building, we see the green-haired girl called Izumi, on the phone with her mother, while she, Shiro, Shinso and Uraraka, partake in a delicious burger that they had bought 10 minutes ago. Hey Mum. What's going on? She asked. Well honey, I'm preparing for a family dinner tomorrow night, and I was wondering if you and Shoto were wanting to come. That sounds great, Mum. I haven't had your cooking in ages, so of course we'll come by. Great. I'll let your father know you and Shoto are coming. Also I'm gonna call Izuku and see if he can come as well. This sudden statement causes Izumi to go blank slightly, before returning to the conversation. Mum, are you sure that's a good idea? Why wouldn't it be? We haven't had a family dinner together in 5 years. Don't worry. I'll make sure to be there. Okay, good luck on your job honey. The call hangs up and we see Izumi lower her head and sigh in a sad tone. The reason for this because she had to see her brother tomorrow. In the past, the two didn't have the best relationship. When she was a child, she had always viewed her brother as some weakling, someone that didn't even deserve to be on the same level as her in terms of social status. This even continued in junior high, being a lot worse in regards to what was done to him. Because in junior high, there was one day where he was casually told to end it all, to give up on life and just end it all. The culprit, her ex-boyfriend Katsuki Bakugo. The two had separated shortly after beginning high school due to the incident, and this was when Izumi's guilt began to grow. Did she really allow the treatment of her brother to get this bad? Ever since the breakup, she could never look Katsuki in the eye. Though their relationship somewhat healed throughout high school, in her heart, she could never forgive him for what he said to Izuku, but even then, she could never forgive herself for how she treated him. She wanted to reach out to him, but she couldn't gain the confidence to do so. Izumi, is something wrong? Shiro asked her. Yeah, you look kind of pale. Uraraka commented. Izumi stared down at the streets below, and tried to form a somewhat small smile. Well, I'm gonna be having dinner with my family tomorrow. Oh, that's nice. But that doesn't explain why you're so down. Shinso comments. Well, I'm gonna be seeing my brother for the first time in 5 years. The information that was uttered out of her lips causes Uraraka and Shiro to share one brain cell together, and react in kind, shouting out loudly in confusion. Wah! Their screams of confusion are masked by the loud turbines of a plane flying above, as inside, we see a blonde girl with glasses looking out the window, with a rather calm smile on his face. Japan, huh? Looks a lot different than I imagined. Still, I can't believe I'm here. The blonde girl mutters to herself. Now then, all I have to do is find a cheap apartment to live in, get my things sorted and I'll be set. The plane continues its course, landing at a nearby airport. While over with Izuku, he enters his apartment, and plops onto his bed, staring at business card for some time before taking out his phone and calling the number. Hello, Hisashi. It's Izuku. I'm interested in your offer. Pilot chapter end. Chapter 2, Weird Science. Izuku Yagi was feeling all sorts of different emotions at this point in time. Joy that he got offered a job, even if it was for a small company, sadness that the rent had gone up, and slight annoyance that he could not get a proper sleep like always. But the newest emotions amongst the pile was surprise, and embarrassment, as he saw a blonde girl with red glasses, who was significantly shorter than him standing with the landlord. Wait, what? It's like I said, Mr. Yagi. You've got yourself a roommate now. But I only put up the notice yesterday. How did you find one so quickly? Don't ask me. This young lady here asked for any available room, regardless of whether someone was occupying it or not. And, since your apartment was the only one available to those circumstances, I figured it would be best to inform you. Don't worry young man. Besides, being roommates with a girl shouldn't be a bad thing, should it? It could spark something great between you. Well, great. Then I'll be back soon. Gotta grab her bags and all. Izuku began to sweat beads, while his face began to turn red. He had never really been left alone with a woman before, so this was trouble for our green-haired protagonist, who nervously went to grab his bag from the table behind him. Well, I'm sorry to leave you so quickly, but I have an important job to go to, so make yourself comfortable in the meantime. I'll probably be back in 8 hours. Okay. As Izuku made his way out of the apartment, the blonde woman looked around the apartment, seeing the large living room set up and began to lie on the couch. Mr. Yagi, I wonder if he's related to Uncle Might. Izuku frantically began to make his way out of the apartment complex, running towards the nearest bus stop, hyperventilating while leaning against the pole behind him. Man, that was scary. I knew it was a 50-50 chance, but still. I don't know if I can handle having a girl as my roommate. But I do admit she was very pretty. CRP, I forgot to introduce myself to her and ask her for her name. He finished with annoyance in his voice. Oh well. I should ask her once I get back. After boarding the train and making his way to the address on the car, he sees what looks to be two large brick buildings connected to each other in front of him, with a fire exit on the side of it. He made his way up to the top, using the fire exit as a pathway, and eventually came across a single door that led into the interconnected building. He knocked on the door and waited about 7 seconds before the door finally opened. Ah, Yagi. You're here. Yeah, sorry I'm late, my landlord held me up for something important. On the contrary. You're on time. Huh. But I'm 30 minutes late. My father doesn't really believe in stuff like being late and early. The world is full of things that cause disruption to our daily lives, so he believes it best to allow a person to come in whenever they feel like it. Okay, but won't that encourage people to just be lazy? Perhaps. But if they are lazy when working here, they will be punished accordingly. I see. So how do things work here? Do I just take a station, and just begin working on a new invention? Correct. Any workstation is fine. I'll check up on you in a few hours and see what progress you've made so far. Sure thing. Izuku sat himself at a workstation, beginning to sketch out some designs for potential support items and other inventions of that nature. But with each sketch, there came a point in time where he realized that such an invention would not bring any benefit to anyone, especially to heroes. He went through many sketches, often throwing them out into a nearby metal bin beside him. But there were some that he wasn't too sure of, so he simply kept it on his desk in order to get a second opinion. But as of now, he was simply drained of any motivation. It didn't help that his mother had messaged him about a family dinner, where all parties were present. Having to see his sister and father again wasn't exactly something that he wanted to deal with, but what choice did he have? He didn't want to pass his mother's offer off, he loved her cooking, but could he really keep himself under control in their presence? He was not sure. However, his thought process was soon interrupted by Mikumo's sudden return. Sorry about that, Yagi. Father needed me to gather parts for an invention he was working on. Oh, don't worry, Mr. Midoriya. I don't mind, really. You know you can just call me Mikumo, right? No need to be so formal. I'm sorry. It's just how I was raised. He said while shifting his glasses. In truth, his sight had gotten slightly worse over the years, mostly due to outside factors. I see. By the way, what happened here? Mikumo said while pointing to the metal bin. Oh, well, some things happened, and well, most of the ideas I came up with weren't exactly useful. With the way quirks are nowadays, creating support items to solve a specific problem can easily be overcome from simple training. I see. And these? Oh, these are ones I'm not really too sure of. I was hoping to speak with Mr. Midoriya about them and ask for a second opinion. Not a bad idea. He could probably give you tips on how to improve the designs or other functions like that. But unfortunately, he won't be coming in today, said he had to take care of some business. Alright. By the way, are you able to assist me with this? Oh, sure, what is it? Walking over with Mikumo to another part of the lab, Izuku sees what looks to be a pod of some sorts, with a tinted glass panel at the front of it, causing Izuku to be rather weirded out. What is this thing? Well, this is my latest invention. It's supposed to be a genetic modifier. I'm sorry, did you say genetic modifier? Why make something like that? Well, have you ever heard of the quark singularity theory proposed by one Dr. Kyudai Garaki? Mikumo asks the young man. Oh yeah. I did a research report on him back in high school. The theory goes that as the generations go by, quirks blend and evolve, producing stronger and more complex quirks. However, with this increase in power, they will eventually come to a point where the human body won't be able to control the quirk's power. Izuku began. Since the human body can't evolve as quickly as quirks, there will come a time where it won't be able to handle such power, most likely resulting in a mass extinction event, a collapse of the future. Impressive. You spoke about the theory so easily and gave the appropriate information. But in the end, what he proposed was only a theory, so no one believed him. I mean, it's not hard to understand why. Back then quirks weren't as powerful as some are now, and even then, there are quirks that aren't even all that strong. Only a select few have powerful quirks. What if I were to tell you that theory was real? Hold on, are you serious? You believe in it? Yes, what the good doctor theorized was correct, and the very reason why I decided to build this machine. Hold on, what evidence do you have to prove it? Unfortunately, I don't have any. All information on Dr. Garaki's research was taken and destroyed after the League of Villains was taken down by the heroes, but I know for certainty that his theory is correct. But I didn't build this thing to prove his point even further, but rather stop it from happening. Ha! Hold on, stop it. Yes, like you said, the theory goes that eventually, the human body won't be able to control it due to not being able to evolve as quickly as quirks. This machine over here was built for one expressed purpose, to modify the human body and ensure our survival. Ha! Oh, I get it, you want to modify the human body so that the danger of quirks going out of control won't happen, correct? Yes. The idea behind this machine is to not only modify the human body and allow it to continuously evolve with each passing generation, but also bring it to its physical peak. Physical peak. Yes. Aside from the quirk singularity theory, I was inspired from an old comic book and movie my father had in his collection. A movie. Yes. But enough about nostalgia, it's time we test this machine out for the first time. Wait, you're gonna test it out now. Of course, I need to know if I need to tweak it somehow, and unfortunately, we don't have anything to test it on besides ourselves. But, so, which of us do you think should go ahead first? Izuku thought on this question momentarily. Despite being hesitant on the idea of being a guinea pig for an experiment that had the large possibility of going wrong, he couldn't deny that his curiosity made him wonder what would happen if the machine was a success. Because of this, he took off his glasses and stepped forward. I'll do it. Are you sure, Yagi? This is my invention after all, if something goes wrong I don't want you getting hurt. Don't worry about me. If we didn't take risks we wouldn't be able to make progress. So I'll be the one to go inside the machine. After taking off his lab coat and other pieces of clothing, Izuku stepped into the machine, feeling a bit of claustrophobia due to its cramped size. So how long is this supposed to take? Izuku asked Mikumo. It shouldn't take too long, roughly about 5 minutes at most. To get the fullest effects of the genetic modification. I see. Now it's going to slightly get hot in there, so just try to relax and not let the heat get to you. As he continues to turn the dial on the machine, the inside of it glows slightly brighter, with Izuku beginning to sweat slightly. Excellent. The chemicals are being absorbed into your body now. Chemicals. Yes, in order for genetic modification to occur, certain chemicals needed to get absorbed into your body. Then the machine will begin modification. Oh, okay. Are you all right in there? Yep, just sweating like crazy. Only 3 minutes left before completion, just hold out for a little longer. His body continued to sweat for quite some time, his body being completely drenched as he began to breathe heavily. However, unaware to the two, a small creature makes its way inside the machine, using one small hole left open due to foresight to make its way in. Okay Yagi, just one more minute. You got this. I don't know if I can do it, Mikumo. I feel like something's crawling on my back. It's so cramped in here that I can't scratch it. Just ensure it for a little longer Yagi. You can do this. The machine began to use an artificial voice and began a countdown of 30 seconds, with Izuku being slightly relieved that the process is going to be finished soon. However, to his horror, the crawling on his back wasn't because he was feeling itchy, but that a spider had began crawling up his back and onto his neck, biting him in the process. What the hell? Izuku yelled out. But the voice from the machine masked his cries, as it finally hit zero, opening up the chamber with a large cloud of smoke drawing out from the inside. Yagi. Are you okay? I heard a bit of screaming before the machine made so much noise. As more smoke brushed out, Izuku began weakly walking out of the machine, his energy slightly depleted. Holy crp, I think I was hallucinating. I could have sworn I saw a dash, but before he could finish, he falls to the ground slightly, with Mikumo helping him up from the ground. Don't worry, Yagi. The heat must have made you see things. I'll go get you some water, your shirt, and your lab coat. Upon completing the task of grabbing his clothes and some water to drink, Mikumo began to evaluate Izuku's body, asking several questions about whether or not he felt anything different. Okay, so it doesn't look like the effects are immediate. We should probably observe you for a PRD of about a week until we can come to a good conclusion. Oh, yeah sure. In the meantime, try to take it easy. The machine took a large toll on you. Once the clock reaches 3, go on home. Wait really? Yeah, consider this a reward for helping me out. Thanks Mr. Mikumo. No worries, Izuku. After leaving the lab for the day, Izuku makes his way back to his apartment, rewatching a show on his phone that he became invested in during his first year in university, but decided to rewatch today. Man, I've forgotten how brutal this show is. Seriously, even without arms, legs, hearing or sight, this guy really is a skilled fighter. As he approached his apartment door, a sense of nervousness washed over him, remembering that he forgot that he now has a roommate living with him. Not just any person, but a appealing girl. CRP, I forgot she was gonna be living with me. And I did rudely leave the scene before she introduced herself to me. So I should go and apologize. He opens the door and begins to walk inside, changing out of his work clothes and into something more casual. Man, first day on the job, and I didn't even get started on inventing. If I don't do something about it soon, I might end up getting fired. And I don't want to disappoint Mikumo or Mr. Midoriya, so I'll do my best tomorrow. He thought to himself as he laid on the couch. The door to the apartments opens after a few minutes and standing above him, he sees the same blonde girl from this morning meeting him face to face once more. Hey roommate. She says greeting him. Oh, hi. Izuku said in embarrassment, before quickly getting up. I didn't know you came home from work. Yeah, well, some things happened and let's just say I got let out early. You mean you got fired? No, more like something else occurred. I see. Well, I guess since there's nothing in the way now, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Melissa, it's so lovely to meet you. Melissa. I see. Would you happen to be from America by any chance? Not to be rude, but given your clothes and your name, you seem like a foreigner. No, you're not being rude at all. I was born in America, but I was mostly raised on Island with my father. Island, huh? Forgive me, but what brings you to Japan? Island is more technologically advanced, is it not? Well, let's just say I needed to get out and explore the world for a little bit. I see. By the way, the landlord said your family name was Yagi, right? Yeah. Does that mean you are related to a Toshinori Yagi by any chance? Oh, well Toshinori is my father. Oh wow, your Uncle Mite's son. Uncle Might. Yes, he and my father were friends in their younger years. Hold on, does that mean your father is, the David Shield? With a nod of her head, Izuku slightly freaks out even more at this. I know Uncle Might had a daughter, but I never knew he had a son before. So when I heard your family name was Yagi, I grew curious. You don't say, still I'm very glad to know that I'm roommates with someone trusting and reliable. You should probably hold off from saying that. I haven't exactly proven my trust and reliability to you. Izuku said somberly. But, maybe say that when I do show off those traits. Okay. So, what would you like for dinner tonight? I can make a very juicy steak if you'd like. Actually, I'm having dinner with my folks tonight. I'd offer to invite you, but I doubt my father knows you're here. Oh, okay, we can just do it another time. Sure, but there is one thing you can help me with. Do you know what I should wear tonight? I haven't the slightest clue. Now that I can help you with. After skimming through his closet of clothes, and taking what seemed like a couple of hours to get ready, we see Izuku, now in a blue polo shirt and long, black pants exiting off a bus to a nearby suburban area. He approaches a specific house among the many in the area, where he began to see the memories of his past play back to him. Some happy, most painful, and yet they all felt real to him, which was slightly worsened with his fleeting vision. What the heck? Are my eyes getting worse? If that's the case, I'll have to see if I can fix them before it becomes permanent. Izuku approached the door with slight unease. He knew his father and sister were going to be at this family dinner, but even then, it wasn't easy for him to accept. It had been years since he last saw both his father and sibling, 5 years from what he remembered, but a small part of him wished it had been longer. After pressing the doorbell, Izuku steps back slightly, rubbing his hands for warmth, before the door slowly opens to reveal a rather short woman wearing a pink apron over a dark red shirt. Hi Mum. Izuku muttered. Izuku, she mutters while approaching. My baby boy. Mum, what's wrong? You really came, I'm so happy you came for dinner. Are you kidding? I wouldn't miss this for the world. Walking into the house with her, he smells the delicious scent of a home-cooked meal, his face becoming more and more relaxed by the second. So warm, however, the illusion of a warm environment is quickly shattered, when he enters the dining room, and sees his father and sister sitting at the table, along with a rather confused Shoto Todoroki. Hi Izuku. It's certainly been a while. Izumi says to him. Oh, hi. Izuku mutters back. Toshinori, despite wanting to say something, is unable to find the words in his mouth to say anything, only staying silent throughout the entire interaction. All right, now that everyone is here, let's eat. The five begin to eat the meal prepared by Inko, with even Todoroki making a soft smile at the delicious taste it has. Wow, this is delicious, Mrs. Yagi. Aw, thank you. I made this rice extra special just for tonight. I taste a hint of chicken wings. Izumi questioned. Close I simmered the chicken wings with bonito stock, sake and light soy sauce. Apparently you can freeze the broth and chop it up into cubes with it melting onto the rice as soon as it makes contact. I see. Well, either way, this is delicious, honey. Toshinori responded. Aw, thank you, Toshi. I learnt the recipe from Mitsuki while we were out shopping the other day. I see. She's certainly an expert when it comes to cooking. Izuku, tasting the rice for himself, smiles a bit before continuing the meal. I think there was a similar recipe in a cooking show I was watching. I'm kind of glad Mum made it. I was gonna make it myself, but I don't really know how to cook, so making something that elaborate was just gonna end badly. Izuku thought to himself. By the way, you never told me you had a brother Izumi. Why don't you introduce me to him? Oh right. Shoto, this is my brother Izuku. Izuku, this is my boyfriend Shoto Todoroki. Oh, it's certainly nice to meet you, Todoroki. Likewise, Izuku. The use of his first name caught Izuku slightly off guard, as his mother began to bring out some extra food out from the kitchen. "So Izuku, how are things at university?" Inko asked him. "Have you got yourself a girlfriend?" "Oh well no, unfortunately not," Izuku responded. "Things in that department haven't exactly been lucky for me. I don't really have the confidence to go ask a girl on a date, let alone as her to become my girlfriend." "I see. Wait, hold on. I thought it would be easy, considering you're the son of all dash," but before Todoroki could finish his statement, Izumi gives him a slight glare, indicating a message only he would understand. Even a dense guy like him could see the "do not say anything" look in her eyes. "Other than that, I've just been focused on finishing this degree and going full-time at this new job I'm at." "A new job? Oh, how exciting. Where do you work?" Inko asked him. "Well, it's a relatively small company, so nothing too fancy. We recently tested out a machine my boss's son made today. Though I'm not sure how much I can disclose about it." "Oh. You're working with your boss's son?" "Yeah, he's slightly older than me, but he really does look after me well. I won't lie when I say he has some sort of older brother vibe to him." "Oh. Then perhaps you should introduce him to us sometime." "Totally, though I'm not sure if I can get my boss to come over sometime. He's a very busy man, trying to get the company into the Hall of Fame and all that." "I see. Izuku, would you happen to know what your boss's name is?" Toshinori asked him. Izuku looked at his father in curiosity. This was the first time he even said something to him, and yet it sounded so untrustworthy. Regardless, Izuku answered honestly. "Well, he said his name was Hisashi." "Hisashi Midoriya. Why do you ask?" Upon hearing the name, Toshinori drops his fork, catching everyone's attention slightly. "Oh goodness. I guess my grip strength isn't as good as it was in my younger years," Toshinori says to the others. "Are you okay, Dad?" Izumi asks him. "Don't worry, I'll be fine, sweetie." "But Izuku, I don't think you should work for that man." What? Izuku said in confusion. "I understand that this upsets you. But believe me when I say that you shouldn't work for Hisashi Midoriya. There are things about it that you don't understand." "Toshinori, why would you say that?" Inko asks her husband. "Trust me, Inko, it's better this way. If Izuku really wants to pursue a career in creating inventions and support items, I can always ask Power Loader to offer him a job at UA. It would be perfect for him." But Toshi as the two adults continued to argue slightly, the two lovebirds kept to themselves and continued to eat the rice, while Izuku began to shake. For whatever reason, something in him began to change, causing him to sweat profusely, and his eyesight becoming blurry. "Izuku. Are you okay?" "I'm fine, Mother. I don't feel so well. I'm sorry, but I have to go." Wait, Izuku but it was too late. Despite Izumi's best attempts to speak with her brother, she was unable to reach him, as he ran out of the house and did his best to get back home. "Izumi, everything is going to be okay. I'm sure he's going to get home safely," Todoroki tells her. Despite her boyfriend's reassuring words, Izumi isn't able to say anything, merely looking down at her food in worry. Izuku on the other hand is looking rather unwell. While making his way up the stairs, all he could feel was the world spinning before him, his hallucinations beginning to haunt him as he entered his apartment and laid face first into his bed. As the night went through its cycle, Izuku's mind swirled with many nightmares, not getting enough proper sleep, before he woke up from his slumber and feeling rather ill. What happened last night? I know. I got ill all of a sudden, but what could have been the cause? He thought to himself. He opened his eyes, only for them to burn painfully, causing him to slightly yell out in pain. "Ah! My eyes!" Making his way to the bathroom, he doesn't bother to turn on the lights, and merely adjusts his vision to the darkness, noticing something strange about his body. His once skinny and noodle-like body had suddenly changed into that of a wall of muscle, causing him to slightly freak out. What the hell? Is this me? No, it couldn't be. But my hair, my eyes, they look the same. Wait, how can I even see in the dark like this? As he goes to rub his face, he suddenly feels a sharp pain, and notices a small cut on his face. What the heck? How did I even cut my stash? But as he looked at his hand, he began to slightly panic, upon seeing what looks to be talons on his fingers. What happened? What the hell happened to me? It was then that the young man remembered the experiment from the other day, and the words Mikumo had said to him the other day. The machine. I forgot it was designed to modify the body and bring them to their physical peak. But then, why do I have talons? And why is my eyesight so? The machine activated while the spider was inside the chamber with me. But then that could only mean my DNA, I have spider DNA coursing through my veins. The door to the bathroom is knocked, with Izuku turning his attention to it in panic. Izuku, is everything all right? Melissa said from the other side of the door. Sweat began to drop from Izuku's face, as this sudden evolution to his body would forever change his life forever, whether he liked it or not. Chapter End. Chapter 3, the canon event begins. Izuku at this moment in time was only feeling one thing, panic. His body had changed dramatically as a result of Mikumo's machine, but these other changes had frightened him extremely. Talons, his messed up eyesight, and he also felt a pair of sharp fangs upon closer inspection of his teeth. But those things paled in comparison to what his now roommate would think if she saw him like this. Yeah, everything's fine, Melissa. Just trying to get ready for work today. But the lights to the bathroom are off. How will you see? Oh, well, I just need to adjust my eyes before I turn on the light. Don't want to accidentally blind myself. Well, I guess that makes sense. Anyway, I just want to let you know that I'm gonna go get groceries. Anything you need? No, I'm good. Okay. Just message me when something comes to mind. Sure thing, Melissa. After many footsteps and the door opening and closing, Izuku opens the door to the bathroom, and scopes the place out to see if it is clear for him to exit. Okay, good, she's gone. But that begs the question. How am I gonna get to work with these changes? He looks around his apartment, looking at the various pieces of clothing in his closet, before finding something to settle on. Perfect. He mutters. After some time, we are taken to the lab once more, where we see Mikumo working on some other device that his father had gotten him to complete. Its current design was rather crude and didn't offer much success in terms of function, often sparking out due to a miscalculation or due to various software failures. However, Mikumo's annoyance would soon stagnate when the door to the lab opens. Is that you, Yagi? Mikumo says, not turning his head to the door. Yeah, it's me. That's good. Today is gonna be a slow day, but I appreciate you coming here. Upon turning his head to Izuku, he is rather confused by the accessories Izuku was seen wearing. A mask to cover his face, thick tinted sunglasses, and a pair of leather gloves were what he saw, and for one reason or another, he couldn't help but wonder why Izuku was wearing such things. Izuku, what's with those accessories you're wearing? Huh. Oh, well, I may have gotten a case of the common cold. I didn't want to cause trouble, or accidentally infect you, so I figured I'd wear a mask and glove to keep my germs from spreading. Sounds fair. But last time I checked, sunglasses aren't exactly known for blocking the common cold. Well, come on, Yagi. Take that stuff off. I promise you can trust me. Izuku hesitantly complied with Mikumo, and began to remove the accessories he was wearing. Upon doing so, Mikumo's eyes widened in surprise. He knew Izuku had changed given the height increase, but he never expected changes such as talons, fangs, and what appeared to be poor eyesight. Yagi, what happened to you? Why do you have talons? What's wrong with your eyes? Well, your machine worked. I ended up getting to my physical peak. But, something happened during the process. A spider was inside it while it was altering my DNA, it ended up biting me just before it finished, and after a while this happened. I see. So that's what happened. Mikumo said while sitting on his seat. It's my fault you ended up mutating this way. And no, it's not your fault. You didn't know the spider was going to be in there. Besides, we can just reverse the effects, right? It's not as simple as it may look. It took me a few years to develop this machine, and I never got around to developing a failsafe in case something went wrong. I know that may sound idiotic, but I run all possible calculations to ensure that the effects were neither harmful nor devastating. Mikumo says to him. He looks down at the ground in guilt, tightening the grip of his hands together, while Izuku takes a seat at his desk. It'll take at least 6 months tops to add a reverse feature to it. In the meantime, we should probably study you as you are, as well as figure out a way to help you with these new powers. Huh. Oh right. That seems like a good idea. The two began to study Izuku's now current power set, studying the anatomy of his body, as well as looking at other aspects, such as checking if Izuku was able to secrete venom from his fangs, and to his surprise, some had actually leaked out. Okay, so based on what we've been able to gather, it looks as though there are multiple things we've discovered. Regarding the venom extracted from your fangs, it appears that it's merely to paralyze the recipient if it's injected into their stream. Whoa, that's pretty creepy. The good news however is that it seems that your talons and fangs are retractable, so with a little practice, you should be able to live life normally. As for your eyesight, that will be the most tricky. Your eyesight currently has been programmed to be more effective at night, kind of like night vision. As a result, they're more sensitive to bright lights. Unfortunately, this is permanent. So there's nothing I can do. Unfortunately not. But there are ways to remedy that. Aside from wearing heavily tinted sunglasses like you wore this morning, I do have one thing I can make to help you. What would that be? Izuku asked him. Well, perhaps I can design you some tinted contacts. Tinted contacts. Its creation may be difficult, but it should allow you to see better without worrying about bright lights. It will take some time so you'll need to wear those glasses for now. Right, that's fine. How long will that take? Best I can say is a week tops. Shouldn't be too hard though. By the way, can you go on an errand real quick? Oh, sure, what's up? I'd like you to go and pick up an order I made for an iced coffee at Hopper's Cafe. Huh? Izuku said with confusion. I would go get it myself, but unfortunately, Father is going to be coming by soon, and he expects me to stay no matter what. I see. Despite his slight annoyance to the request, Izuku goes anyway, putting on a hoodie he brought along with him, before heading out of the lab with his tinted sunglasses. Man, this SCKS. Why of all places did he have to order here? Izuku mutters to himself before sighing. Oh well. Guess he has his preferences in stores. Still, I wish it was closer. After a 15-minute bus ride, Izuku makes his way to Hopper's Cafe, where upon entering the establishment, ends up being overwhelmed by the many cats and cat trees scattered all over the front area. Man, Mikumo must really love cats if he comes to this place. Izuku comments. After approaching the counter, a man wearing a uniform and bow tie walks towards him, twiddling his eloquent mustache. Good morning, sir, I am Jiro Hata. How may I assist you today? Oh, yes, I'm here to pick up an order for a Mikumo Midoriya. Mikumo Midoriya Heiichiro, is the order for a Mikumo ready? Not yet, just about to finish it along with the order for a Kyoka. I'm sorry about that, sir. My older brother is just about to finish it. Should take no longer than 5 minutes. Oh, okay. He takes a seat at a nearby table, with Cat sometimes brushing past his legs as he waits for Mikumo's order. However, as he waits, the sound of gunfire makes itself known, as Izuku sees what appears to be a group of 3 villains stand at the entrance. Alright everyone, shut your mouths and stay put. A villain with finger guns yelled out. Now, unless you want this cafe to become a BLD bath, then you'll do as we say. Steel bulwark, secure the door. Needle hair, you go get the money from the register. I'll make sure these people don't do anything stupid. As the villains do as the brown-haired man tells them, Ichiro, who walks over to the front, reacts in a rather upset expression. What on earth is going on here? Cease your actions at once and get out of my cafe. Well, look at you, Mr. Tough Guy. Trying to stop us from doing our job. Well, stay still if you want to live. Izuku looks at the altercation with a rather calm, but worried expression. Okay, this is bad. Why the hell are villains attacking a cafe of all places? Could it be that these guys aren't risking robbing a bank? Even then, robbing a cat cafe is kind of sad when you think about it. He thought to himself. All right, boss, we've locked up the doors. No one's getting in or out. Steel bulwark tells him. Good job. Now, how about you two be cooperative and let my associate here search through your building's safe? Please, as if we'd let you do such a thing. We are honest men and women working for our money, and I will not allow such low lives like you to steal the hard-earned money we made. Oh, that's rich coming from a couple of former trigger dealers. Now let Needle Hair have access to your safe. However, something catches the attention of the two villains, causing them to turn their heads over to their teammate Steel Bulwark, who is seen laying on the ground unconscious. What the hell? What happened? The villain looks up to see a person covered by the sunlight, while wearing a purple hoodie and black boots. Who the hell are you? Are you the one who knocked out my associate? Well, of course. Your friend was rather hard to take down, but I've faced bigger threats than this guy. As for who I am, I'm sure you've heard my name a couple of times on the news. But if you haven't, then maybe a little performance will ingrain my name into your heads. The woman takes off her hoodie, showcasing her dark purple hair and her slender appearance. Her aesthetic reminds the two remaining villains of what looks like a punk rocker, only this punk rocker wasn't going to perform at a concert, this punk rocker was out to take them down. Oh no. It's Earphone Jack. The finger gun villain said before attempting to gun her down. The young hero avoids the gunfire using her athletic abilities to leap from table to table, before using her ultimate attack, Heartbeat Surround, to knock down the man with the finger guns. Damn it. You think you're so great just because you're a hero. Needle Hair yells out, before grabbing Izuku with her arm. Well, guess what? Try anything funny and this boy dies by my hand. The hero called Earphone Jack stands completely still, her face making an expression of annoyance at the sudden development. Shoot, I got myself captured, and now this hero has to worry about saving me and defeating this villain. I have to do something. Izuku thought to himself. Alright, hero. If you want this kid to live, then you better let us do as we want and take this place as cash. The villain tells her. Hey Needle Hair, keep the boy with you just until I say so. Steel Bulwark is no use to us. But the villain gets no response from his partner. Instead, all he could see was Needle Hair standing in place, involuntarily releasing Izuku from her grasp, and falls to the ground. Needle Hair. What the hell is wrong with you? Izuku wipes the venom off his teeth, showcasing that he had bitten Needle Hair in the arm and injecting his venom into her body. You did something to her, didn't you? What did you dash? The villain's accusation is quickly interrupted, when Earphone Jack suddenly tackles him to the ground, and implants her cords into his head, knocking him out instantly. That'll teach you to rob hard-working businesses. The hero said to the knocked-out villain. Hey, I don't know what you did, but that's for your help. Oh, no problem. All I did was get in the way, so it's kind of my fault in the first place. Well, as long as you're safe, that's all that matters. After everything is sorted, police eventually make it to the scene, arresting the three criminals and getting statements from the workers at the cafe, all while Izuku, after having been questioned by the police officer, takes the drink from the worker and makes his way back to the lab. Sorry I'm late, Mikumo. Something happened at the cafe while I was there and it ended up being a lot longer than expect. Yagi. Good to see you here. Oh, hi Mr. Midoriya. Don't worry. My son asked you to do something and you were just following orders. Nothing wrong with that. Oh, well thank you sir. Is there anything I can do? Just continue working as normal. Other than that, I'll let you know if something comes up. Okay sir. For the rest of the day, Izuku continued to work, constantly drawing new possible inventions for him to work on. While some were rather quite interesting, there were many that had to be scrapped. Unlike the day before, he did not finish after 5, he stayed in the lab, beginning construction on what he believed to be the invention that would put his mark on the world. But as he did so, something would come up that would distract him, as the buzz of his phone would make itself known. Hello. He answered. Hello, this is Detective Naomasa Tsukachi from the police, am I speaking to an Izuku Yagi? The police. Why is the police calling me? It's 3 in the morning. Also, how did you get my number? Well, we're sorry for calling you at such an inconvenient time. In regards to how we got your number, your father provided us with the phone number from your mother's phone. As to why, I'm afraid there's no easy way of telling you this, but we need you to come to the hospital. The hospital? Yes. I'm afraid your mother was attacked. Upon hearing the information enter his mind, Izuku's eyes begin to shrink in worry, as any sleep deprivation that he may have had during his all-nighter in the lab had seemingly disappeared. Attacked. Yes, your mother's been shot. With no time to waste, Izuku grabbed his coat and ran out of the lab in a panic, accidentally leaving his phone back at his desk. Chapter end. Chapter 4, A Path to the Abyss. Seconds turned into minutes, and minutes turned into hours, and all Izuku could care about was getting to the hospital as quick as possible. He didn't care if he run into a street pole or anyone on the sidewalk, he was going to get to that hospital, and he was going to figure out who it was that attacked his mother. After running for about an hour, he approached the front desk of the hospital, frantically taking breaths until he could regain his focus. Sir, are you all right? The nurse asked him. Where is my mother? He said in between breaths. Where is Izuku Yagi? Down the hall sir. Room 15. She said in worry. But you won't be able to visit her. She's in surgery. However, Izuku ignored the nurse and began sprinting down the hall, trying to avoid any collision with any of the doctors and nurses. Hey, stop running. One of the doctors yelled out. But Izuku didn't care what the doctor said. Pure adrenaline and worry was all that clouded his mind. Eventually, he arrived at the outside of the room, where a small group of people were standing outside. His father, his sister, that Todoroki guy he met before, some guy in what looked like a knight's outfit, and the detective he spoke with on the phone. Mr. Yagi. He spoke. You're the detective I spoke with on the phone, right? Tell me, who shot my mom? Is she going to be okay? Have you started an investigation? Mr. Yagi, I need you to calm down. I know this is a lot to bear, but I need you to be in the right headspace. Okay, sorry. He said, catching his breath once more. That's fine, Mr. Yagi. It's understandable that you would be like this. The armored man spoke. This caused a bit of confusion to Izuku. He hadn't seen this hero before despite seeming to have a close connection between his sister and her boyfriend. But he had no time to ask who he was. All he was concerned about was his mother. So who exactly shot my mother? I'm afraid we don't have a clear idea as to who it could be. So far we're waiting on the surgeons to extract the bullet and hopefully stop any damage done to her. All we can do is wait. Izuku begrudgingly sat on a chair positioned near the wall, his eyes fixated on the ground while his leg began to move on its own, likely as a result of Izuku's worry. However, upon seeing the red light above the room go out, he stands up from his seat, giving his full attention to the emerging doctor, who had a somber look on his face. "I'm sorry," the doctor muttered. "There's nothing we can do." The father and daughter gasped slightly, with Izumi covering her eyes with her hands before walking over to her father and burying her head into his shoulder. But Izuku made no such reaction. Time seemed to almost pause for him, as the pupils in his eyes dilated in silent shock. The 2 bullets passed through her coronary arteries. "While we were able to get the bullets out and repair some of the tissue, I'm afraid the damage was too severe. We would ask Recovery Girl or Eraserhead's child to come and fix her, but given the amount of time she has left they won't make it here on time," the doctor tells them. "The best thing I can advise is to say your goodbyes." Izumi continued to cry into her father's shoulder, while Izuku began to approach the door with the doctor's permission. Upon opening it, he would be haunted by the sight of wires sticking out of her, and monitors constantly beeping in sync with her rapidly degrading heartbeat. He hesitated to go inside, even if his body was telling him to move forwards. "I'll give you guys some privacy." The heart monitor continued to beep in the silent and cold room. Toshinori and Izumi stood over Inko, who as a result of the anesthesia was not awake. Izuku meanwhile fell to his knees as he gripped onto his mother's hand. Why is this happening?" he silently muttered to himself. "Why did it have to be you?" His entire body began to shiver. While his father and sister leaned over and kissed her forehead and saying their goodbyes, Izuku refused to do so. He refused to believe that his mother was going to die, as he began to think to himself his only wish. "Don't die. Please don't die. I'm begging you. God, anyone, keep her alive," he thought to himself. But his heart would soon break, when he heard the flat line from the heart monitor. Reality had sunken in for the young man, as the only person he ever cared about was gone. Unable to say goodbye to her. A couple of weeks would eventually pass quickly for Izuku, as he was now standing completely still in the rain. His black suit becoming drenched in rainwater, while the lightning struck above him. The singular tombstone with his mother's name inscribed into it felt all the more unreal to him. His mother, the one who raised him, the one who was there during his darkest moments was gone. Not by old age, disease or other natural causes, but because someone gunned her down. Some scumbag who wanted to do nothing more than to cause pain. He hated that he was not there to protect her. He would have taken the bullet for her if it meant she would be alive. But such an opportunity would never come. As Izuku continued to stare down at the grave, the people behind him could only silently watch, unable to properly console the young man. They knew nothing about him, only that he was related to their former classmate and comrade Izumi. Some would approach, but Izuku paid no attention to them. To him, they were just strangers. Strangers that tried to feel good about themselves by offering their sympathy. Strangers that didn't care for him like a friend or a family member, but an acquaintance, simply because he was related to Izumi. A tall blonde man would soon approach, causing the two to turn their heads to see the blonde man. He was shorter than his father, and had a bit more muscle due to his age, but wave a lot softer than people pictured him to be. "Hey Izuku. How are you holding up?" "Hey Kaminari." The two stood by each other, silently staring down at the grave and tombstone together as is was coated by the rainwater. Inko never was comfortable with the traditional method of cremation, and felt that it would be fitting to be buried in the ground, to become nutrients for the earth. But such thoughts were not appropriate at this time. "Thank you for coming Denki. I'm sorry for taking time away from your girlfriend." "It's okay." She understood, and wanted to give her condolences. "Thank you. If you need anything, or just want to talk, you can always swing by. We'd love to have you come by." I'll consider that offer." He felt as if he wasn't really part of their family, with his mother being his only connection to them. But since she was gone, he might as well consider them to be strangers to him. "So, what's going to happen now? With your mother's killer?" "Well, the police won't tell me anything. Only thing they told me was that the bullets weren't any normal bullets, but ones made of thickened hair. Thickened hair. Aside from that, I've been completely left out. They won't tell me anything. Not even a name. It infuriates me. I see. Kaminari says while looking down at Izuku's fist. He saw the painful look on his face, and believed there wasn't anything he could do. Grief affected people differently, that was something he knew. But to see his friend like this, it struck a chord. He patted his friend's back in an attempt to reassure him that he was there for him if he needed him, before beginning to head back home, leaving Izuku alone in front of the grave. Someone should get him an umbrella. Otherwise he might catch a cold. The pink-skinned girl said to her friends. I could lend him mine or create one for him, but there's something worrying about him. Like there's a darkness to him. A black-haired girl responded. You think so, Yamamoto? Yes, Mina. I think he just needs to be left alone. While many of Izumi's comrades began to make their way away to a sheltered area, one of them chose to stay. The same purple-haired girl that had saved Izuku that day at the cafe began to approach him, as if hoping to make a connection with the young man and save him from this darkness her friend had spoken about. After all, a hero's duty was to make sure those they saved were safe and held no sadness. Something I can help you with? Izuku asked her. If you're here to just give me your sympathy, you should just stop before you say anything. You have no reason to offer it to me. You should say it to Izumi. You're her former classmate after all. I guess you don't like her, do you? She responded to him. Izuku was silent on this question, choosing to not even give any mind to the mention of Izumi. But this silence would only confirm the girl's suspicions. So it's true then. What are you going to do? Tell her. No. I see no reason to. I'm sure you have your reasons. Her boyfriend Todoroki had his reasons for hating his father, so I assume something similar was going on between you two. Why exactly are you talking to me? Izuku asked her. While it was refreshing to hear something other than, you have my condolences, from Izumi's comrade, it did cause him some slight irritation. Regardless of this, Jiru continued to speak to the young man. I want to help you get through this. And I believe the best way in doing so is to let your feelings run wild, not just from your words, but from a nice bit of headbanging. Headbanging. She handed him a card that cited an address to a building located on the outskirts of the city, as well as a phone number contained below it, which outright confused the young man. What's this for? He asked her. My version of giving you therapy. She responded. You don't have to come if you don't want to. But from the way your face is, it's going to take you some time to properly grieve. So I want to give you a possible avenue to do so. But do call me beforehand so I can get everything set up. What are you? Don't worry. You'll know once you come by. But like I said, it's completely up to you. Izuku stared at the card with an intense glare as water began to absorb into it. He didn't know why he didn't just put the card into a nearby rubbish bin, but something told him that having this in his possession could be useful in the future. He began to sneeze, noticing a small bit of snot marking his hand, before realizing he was starting to catch a cold. Shoot. This isn't good. He thought to himself. I better head home before I start to get worse. He began to walk away from the burial site, and accidentally caught the attention of his father and sister, much to his annoyance. Izuku, where are you going? Toshinori asked him. Home. I'm starting to get a cold. Well, maybe I can drive you home, brother. Izumi said to him. No, I'm fine with walking. But brother, she attempted to put her hand on his shoulder, wanting to genuinely help him for the first time in years, but upon him turning his head back to her, her danger sense began to suddenly spike, feeling an immense darkness coming from him. I said I'm fine. He growled. You may be my sister, but don't act like we're family. We haven't been family for years. So from now on, don't you ever touch me. Don't contact me, and don't even try to find where I live. He tried to walk away from her, with Izumi pulling her hand away in fear, when he is suddenly grabbed by a much larger hand. It felt slightly familiar to Izuku, who once again turned his head back to see Todoroki of all people give him a judgmental expression. What is wrong with you? Your sister is trying to help you and you just push her away. Believe me, I know what it's like to push family away. But this isn't the way to go. Let go of me. I'm not in the mood to talk. Izuku said to him. I'm sure you love her very much. But I don't. So just leave me alone. He pulled Todoroki's arm off of his shoulder, and began to walk back to his apartment while the rain persisted above. His mind began to go down the rabbit hole of grief and self-hatred, blaming himself for not saving her despite not even being with her at the time. People in this situation would generally say that there was nothing we could do in moments like this and to not be HRD on yourself for it. But Izuku didn't care. He continued to blame himself for something that was out of his control. He began to cough a bit as he went up the stairs of the apartment building, snot going down from his nose while he approached his apartment door. Melissa had gone out during this time, doing another grocery run while Izuku was at the funeral. It felt rather lonely without her presence, something he had just gotten used to. He took off his suit and laid on his bed, staring up at the ceiling as those dark thoughts continued to cloud his mind. Why didn't you save her? Where were you when she was being attacked? It should have been you who got shot instead of her. These thoughts continued to cloud his mind, as the thunder and lightning continued to strike outside. But one thought did pop up that made him rather motivated. What are you going to do about it? He said to himself. How are you going to avenge her death? He stared up at the ceiling, this time with a vengeful expression of determination. Something clicked in his mind that day, something that would set him on a path of pain. If the police wouldn't tell him who shot his mother, he'd find them himself, and bring them to justice. And so, he got up from his bed, and began to work. What he was working on, even he wasn't sure if it would work to begin with. But that didn't matter, he had plenty of time to fix this new invention should it have problems. A few more days would pass, and we see Izumi lying on her bed hearing the sound of her alarm clock go off loudly. Man! Even after 3 years, I'm still not used to this stupid alarm. She said as she got up from her bed. She made her way to the dining room, where she saw Todoroki making some breakfast while wearing a pink apron. Shoto. Morning Izumi. What are you wearing? She said with confusion. Oh. Kirishima gave this to me as a gift for my birthday. So I figured this would be the right time to use it. He gave you a pink apron. Pretty cool, huh? Kirishima said pink is a manly color. Though I just like the apron for its usefulness in the kitchen. Yeah, I think it's a good gift. Though, a plain white one would have been better. After finishing making breakfast, Shoto set the plate on the table, where we see a somewhat extravagant course of high-protein foods, as well as a delicious glass of apple juice to quench her thirst. Man, that was good. You seriously have skills, Shoto. Izumi said, praising him. Well, my sister did teach me a lot during our high school years, it's only natural that I pick up a few things. Yeah, but still, this is some of the best eggs I've ever had. How did you get them to taste so good? Well, it's good that you like them. He said solemnly. By the way. How are you feeling after the funeral? And after what your brother said? Izumi hesitated to answer her boyfriend's question. While it was true that she was still grieving about her mother's sudden passing, nothing could help her fully cope with the painful and vengeful expression Izuku had given her that day. The complete rejection in his eyes made her almost terrified. Added on with the fact that danger sense had suddenly activated and she could only imagine what would have happened if she pushed him. I don't know how to feel. I'm honestly still coming to terms with it. But I wish things had been different between us. To be truthful to you, I haven't been the best sister to him. She began. Growing up, I used to tease him that he was never going to be a normal person, that he was an anomaly in our family, all because he wasn't born with any kind of superpower. Looking back, I can understand why he would want to distance himself from me. Todoroki was confused by this sudden confession. It was true she never spoke about her childhood often, so to hear this was something certainly eye-widening. Izumi, he muttered. Hearing this must make you feel pretty disgusted with me, huh? In a way, I acted like some of the worst bad guys we've ever faced. Only, I betrayed my brother by treating him as a freak, a monster. So I'd understand if you resent me because of it. While I do have my grievances with such a discovery, I believe it is best that you bury the hatchet with him. That look he gave off during the funeral, that was a look I was all too familiar with. And seeing it on another person, it pains me that someone could bear such hatred. He begins in a monologue. Learn to gain his trust again, show him you can be a reliable sister, and that you've grown from your ways. After that, it is his choice on whether to forgive you or not. I know, but no buts. Hatred like that could be a great asset to someone who may want to use him for the wrong reasons. A hero's job is to save someone from that darkness. And right now your brother is heading towards the center of that darkness. If you don't save him now, you may never be able to save him again. So please put aside your fear, and try. Izumi pondered on this request. While Izuku was scary, she knew that without All For One to terrorize the world and offer an opportunity to him, he was never going to walk down the path of villainy, unaware that Izuku now possessed meta abilities. With a determined smile, she would look back up at her boyfriend, while the sun shined through the window. All right. I'll try to save him, she said to him. But little did she know, the task of saving her brother from his darkness would not be an easy one, as he had already begun on his path of vengeance. Chapter End. Chapter 5, Sparks of Vengeance. Some time had passed, and Izuku was tired. As expected, if one had not gone to sleep for about 3 nights. But where most would fall victim to exhaustion, Izuku persisted in his mission of vengeance. Wearing nothing but a green hoodie, black jeans and a pair of white shoes, Izuku walked through the city streets before approaching a large building nearby. The police station. If he wanted to get the information he wanted, then he couldn't just walk in and just demand the info. He had to be smart about it. Walking over to the side of the building, he placed a small device on the ground, and quickly activated via a small remote in his hand. Acting out of the device, 8 small legs sprouted out, before it began to crawl on the ground, scanning the building beside it, before roaming over to a small vent nearby. Alright, time to see how this little guy goes. The drone begins to scuttle through the vents, with all the sounds and surroundings being recorded in real time. Izuku, who is currently sitting on a nearby park bench, watches his phone with intense focus before seeing Tsukachi in his view. Sir, with all due respect, it's an undeniable fact that she is alive, he said into the phone. Detective Tsukachi, with all due respect, there's no possible way that Lady Nagant is alive. But we have a bullet as a sample. Her quirk gave her the ability to turn her hair into makeshift bullets. You can't possibly say that she's dead after you've seen it for yourself. Like I tried to reiterate to you, Detective. Lady Nagant has been dead for over 5 years, and her body was cremated. How can she possibly be alive? I'm not sure. You tell me. Tsukachi responded. Izuku, who had managed to hack the phone call via a program he made in tandem with the spider-shaped drone, was staring off into space, likely a result of him not getting any sleep and the revelation that the identity of his mom's killer was some dead hero, turned villain. His days would continue to grow more serious, as it took the combined effort of 3 hours of time passing, and Mikumo trying to catch his attention to break him from his trance. Oi, Yagi. You stopped drawing. Is something the matter? Izuku hesitated slightly. Oh, no, sorry boss. I just haven't been getting enough sleep lately. I see. Don't worry, Mikumo. It won't happen again. Whatever you say. Izuku continued to draw on his sketchbook any possible ideas for inventions for Mikumo and Hisashi to invest in. But something in the back of his mind prevented him from doing so. Almost as if curiosity had decided to pilot the vessel that was Izuku's body. He had one question to ask Mikumo, and he wouldn't be able to continue until he got said answer. "Hey, Mikumo." Izuku muttered. What's up, Yagi? By any chance have you ever heard of someone named Lady Nagant?" Mikumo paused for a moment before answering. "Lady Nagant. Oh yeah. She was that villain who died in an explosion many years back while working for All for One. What about her? Do you think someone could be out there using her quirk to kill people?" Mikumo thought on this answer for quite a while. He wanted to give an answer that didn't cause Izuku trouble, but he had to be honest with him. Well, given the complexities of All for One's quirk, it is possible that he took her quirk. But if I'm being honest, I doubt that could be a possibility. I see. Izuku said with some tears. "I take it she was the one you think killed your mother?" Izuku responded with a quiet nod. "And I take it you're going after her?" "Huh. It's the look in your eyes that gave it away. You're trying to seek justice through your own means. That's why you haven't been sleeping well, isn't it?" Sweat began to stream down Izuku's face. Was it that obvious? Izuku wasn't really versed in the art of lying, so it wasn't like it had to take an expert to figure out the truth. He felt defeated in his attempt to hide his intentions, and only gave a slight nod. "You know it's against the law to commit acts of vigilantism." "I know. And yet you're still going to pursue this path." "Yes. All my life I've been forced to do nothing but watch to cower in fear, all because I didn't have a stupid quirk. My own mother was killed because of some scumbag that has no regard for human life. I want them to face justice, not by the police, not by the heroes, but by me. The son of the woman they killed. And nothing you say will convince me to stop." Mikumo saw the determination in his eyes, but he was not fazed by them. In fact, he was intrigued by them, almost as if he saw something familiar about them. Regardless, he chose not to oppose him. "Very well then. I'll help you." "Ha!" Izuku said in surprise. "If you're going to be a valuable asset to my father's business, I can't have you getting caught by the police, or dying while pursuing this person. Besides, this could be a good opportunity to assess your power set in actual combat. But won't you get in trouble? If I do, it will be because I decided to help someone reach their goal. Now then, what are you waiting for? Let's get to work." Despite Izuku's initial confusion, he followed along with the idea, his initial gritty expression turning into that of determination. "Yeah." However, this determination is quickly turned to frustration, when we see him trying to climb up the side of a brick wall. Sounds of struggle came from his mouth, as Mikumo began to clap his hands. "Come on, Yagi. Climb up that wall already. Why are you trying to get me to climb the side of the building in the first place? You said you wanted to bring your mother's killer to justice, well, the only way to do that is to quickly MSTR your abilities. Just because my machine brought your body to its physical peak, that doesn't mean that you know how to use your powers. Still, that doesn't explain why you're having me climb a wall. It's because of your talons." "Ha. Considering you got your DNA mutated by a spider, it's plausible to assume those talons were designed to help you scale tall structures. What you're doing is training those talons to properly latch onto object to allow vertical movement." Izuku continued to try and scale the building, with his highest level being 18 meters before falling to the ground. His injuries, while not severe, did cause Izuku quite the scare. "Well, that's new. Your body seems to have a higher durability compared to the average person." "Yeah, it still hurts, but could be worse, some of your bones could be broken." Izuku merely chuckled at this. "Now then, while your abilities will help you in terms of movement, without the right equipment to assist you, you won't have many options." "Weight equipment?" "Yep. As well as equipment, you're going to need something to conceal your identity. So I'm going to make you a suit to help you with that problem before we attempt to chase after this person. Alright. Thanks, Mikumo. He sat on the chair, recovering from his injuries, while Mikumo began work on the equipment and suit. Mom, I'm sorry I wasn't there to protect you that day. But rest assured. I'll avenge you soon, and bring that bastard to justice. While he continued to relax on the chair, his phone began to ring, revealing the caller ID to be Melissa. He weakly answered the phone. Hello Melissa. This comment perked Mikumo's ears, before he began to approach closer. Hey Izuku, I was wondering what time you were coming home today. Sorry, it's gonna be another late night. Don't worry about making me anything. It'll only be causing trouble for you. Nonsense. You're my roommate, of course it wouldn't be trouble. Besides, I haven't seen you in days. I was hoping that we could hang out, as roommates. I'm sorry, Melissa. But I don't want to dash Izuku. Why yes, Mikumo. Go home to her. Huh. Take the day off. It'll be a while before I properly design the suit and equipment. Besides, you need time to recover from your injuries. Are you sure? Yeah, I'll let father know that you got sick and had to go home. But no buts. Besides, you've been pulling all-nighters like crazy, and you're starting to stink from sweat. Go take a shower. Alright. He said as he approached the door. Thank you, Mikumo. Mikumo felt a small sense of pride overtake him, a small smile becoming rather noticeable as a result, before he begins to stretch his arms and legs. Right. Onto the suit and equipment. If it means helping my junior, I'll spend as much time as needed until it's finished. The rest of Izuku's trip home became nothing short of a breeze. His mind quickly drifted off to sleep, as the bus he was riding on made its way to his final destination. But eventually, even the most tired of men have to wake up. After the bus stops at his destination, Izuku walks up the stairs calmly, his mind having been slightly at ease as a result of the quick nap. His mind would be at more ease when he caught the scent of something delicious being made on the other end of his apartment door. He opened it carefully, as to not cause any noise. Welcome home, Izuku. Melissa responded. Wait, what happened to you? She said, seeing the bandages around his forehead. Hey, sorry I took so long. The bus didn't exactly go fast. As for the bandages, something happened and I got injured as a result. But I'll be fine. Are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. If you say so. Well then, now that you're home, how about we enjoy some dinner? Why yeah, that sounds great. Izuku gets changed into some comfortable clothing before approaching the table. Upon doing so, he is surprised to see a slabs of steak in front of him. Is this steak? I'm sorry. I'm still bad at making Japanese food, so I just cooked what was familiar to me. No, it's great. But why is there so much steak? Well, I noticed you haven't been eating a lot, because of your job and whatnot. So I figured tonight you're going to get yourself filled up with a nice meal. So, dig in. Upon eating the piece of steak, Izuku felt as if all his worries were melted away. The juices of the steak took him onto a trip to Flavor Town that he would not forget, and it showed physically, as his bag slightly faded as a result of smiling so much. So good. He muttered. I'm glad you like it. But while Izuku was partaking in the delicious meal, Melissa came up towards him, and rested his head on her shoulder. Melissa. After I heard what happened, I wanted to help you as quickly as I could, but you needed time to grieve, so I didn't know when to start. But seeing you like this, it makes me happy. Ha. If you ever need to talk to me, I promise I'll be there. So please don't hole yourself up in your room or get yourself hurt. Izuku stared down at his meal, before looking back at Melissa. Okay. I promise. The two soon continued to eat the warm meal, with them quickly enjoying each other's company. In the midst of the public, the criminal underworld was brewing. In a place where no one dared to walk through, there was an area where those of the criminal variety lurked, waiting for the change to cause chaos, and hurt the innocent. However, the sounds of struggle soon made itself known, as a group of uniformed goons and a large, muscular man in a white suit were interrogating a poor soul who was working with them. "Look, I don't know what you're talking about. I never stole any money from you," a nameless man said with conviction. "See, I can tell from that look in your eye that you are lying," a large man in a white suit says to him while smoking a cigar. "You know, had I been my younger self, I would have just killed you on the spot. But I've learned to temper my rage. So I'm going to punish you using a different method." "Wait, what do you mean by dash?" That's when the unnamed man was suddenly shot in the head by a masked individual, who was perched on the top of a rooftop. "Ah, welcome back, Prowler." The individual named the Prowler began to slide off the side of the wall and met with the white-suited man. "Sorry for being late, sir." "Hey, no need to acknowledge me with honorifics. Either use GoTo, or my alias. As you wish, GoTo. I take it my benefactor is in need of some assistance from me." "Something like that. He needs you and your men to move some equipment over to a selected facility." "Ah, so we're just his private moving company, is that it?" "Who does he think we are? I wouldn't act out like that if I were you. Without your benefactor's help, you would be rotting in jail, or worse." Yeah, I know. Still, you could at least tell him to give us kidnapping or assassination jobs. Then again, I wouldn't want to take away jobs from my benefactor's favorite assassin," Goto said before walking away. The Prowler began to climb up a nearby building, and stare at the setting sun, before taking off her mask, showcasing a full head of indigo-colored hair, and a scar that was present on the top of her forehead. However, the thoughts in her mind weren't that of a killer, but a machine, trying to find out something about themselves that they have lost. Her memories.